morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, I'm going to be showing you another really fun deck that's coming out in Japan. It's done well in Japan, but in the very near future, these cards are going to be legal over here, and we can go and have a play with this. And it's a deck that largely relies on that new Kangaskhan, which I told you was a card that was looking pretty good and had an awful lot of potential. Now, our translations for all of the cards in this video do come from the lovely David Hochmann over at limitlesstcg.com/translations. And okay, for one colourless energy, you can draw 2 cards. Boo, here's no one cares. What we're really looking at here is the main attack. For 4 colourless energy, this attack does 50 damage for each of your tag team Pokemon in play. I know, right? That can get pretty high pretty quickly. If you can get 5 Tag Team GXs on the field along with this, you got a non-GX single prize Pokemon hitting for 250 damage. That's pretty good. So the 2 questions we need to be asking ourselves very simply are, which Tag Team GXs are we going to be playing? And how do we get the energy on? They're pretty important questions. Well, in terms of Tag Team GXs, there are 2 that we are choosing to use here, and they shouldn't really surprise anyone. But before that, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. We're going Fire Deck here. We have to go Fire Deck here. We don't really have much of a choice, because Fire has the best way to accelerate energy. Now look, if you don't mind what's on your bench, then it doesn't really matter. You can use Water Energy with Naganadel and Quagsire. You can use Psychic Energy with Malamar. But the problem is they take up bench spaces, and every bench space taken up by a non-Tag Team GX is 50 damage taken off the field. We don't like this, ladies and gentlemen. We don't like this. So we have to use Welder. Welder's phenomenal. Welder is a card that lets you attach 2 Fire Energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon and draw 3 cards. Now, we also do have Kiawe, who can attach 4 energy in one go. The problem with Kiawe is that it does end your turn. So if you're going first and you can't attack anyway, go for a Kiawe. That's fine. But if you can attack, using Kiawe is not ideal. Turn 1 Kangaskhan, yeah, but outside of that, I remain a little bit reticent. But there's a good reason why this deck plays 1 copy of Kiawe and 4 copies of Welder. That ain't a coincidence, ladies and gentlemen. So now that we know that we're accelerating energy with Kiawe and Welder, you can probably guess who your main Tag Team GX is here. It's Reshiram and Charizard. Now, of course, there is an argument you can make here in terms of, well, hang on a second. Isn't this really just a Reshiram and Charizard deck? And the answer is not really. You can play it like a Reshiram and Charizard deck, of course you can. But you're also playing Kangaskhan here. Reshiram and Charizard as a deck just tries to rush and smash. Whereas here, you can actually win the prize trade with Kangaskhan. That's the huge difference. But you are playing 4 Reshiram and Charizard. You can play it like a Reshiram and Charizard deck. 4 energy, 230, and you can't use it during your next turn. 3 energy, 200 damage. But if you've got 3 extra fire energy, it does 300 and goes through any effects on the defending Pokemon, which is pretty cool. And then we play Eevee and Snorlax. Why Eevee and Snorlax? The reason is extremely simple. We're using fire energy, and we're playing 4 Reshiram and Charizard. But we need more Tag Team GXs. We need minimum 5, but really we need 6 in case one's prized. So we kind of need half a dozen Tag Team GXs. We've only got 1 fire one, we're already playing 4 of them. We basically have to play fire because of Welder and Kiawe, at which point we end up with, oh, well, we better be playing Eevee and Snorlax then, because Eevee and Snorlax attacks for colourless energy. And it ain't bad. 4 energy, 240 to an evolved Pokemon, it does 120 to a basic, you don't want that. And then 4 energy, 210, or, with a GX attack, 5 energy, draw until you got 10 cards in hand while doing the 210. So we've got big smashy Tag Team GXs here, and we can use fire energy. The ideal situation here is that we're using Kangaskhan. And look, all of these Pokemon are 4 energy Pokemon. I'm not counting the first attacks because none of them are really what we want to be using. Reshiram and Charizard needs 4 energy. Eevee and Snorlax needs 4 energy. Kangaskhan needs 4 energy. They're all big boys. So it's not like you can attack with a Tag Team GXs for cheaper. What you really want to be doing here is attacking with Kangaskhan. But Reshiram and Charizard does 230 on those turns where you don't have enough Pokemon on the bench. Or if your opponent is able to get easy one-hit KOs on Kangaskhan but not Reshiram and Charizard, you might be worried that you can't get the energy on fast enough. And if you can't get the energy on fast enough, that's a very, very bad thing. So, in terms of the energy, we are playing a bunch of fire for Welder, Kiawe, etc. But we're also playing 4 double colourless energy. It's no good for Reshiram and Charizard, but it's great for Kangaskhan, it's great for Eevee and Snorlax, and then it means that Welder DCE will pay the attack cost of either of those Pokemon. That's a very good thing. And then a couple of counter energy. Really, counter energy here is just DCE number 5 and DCE number 6, just in case you're behind on prizes. Now, in terms of the trainer line, there are a few things here which are a little bit strange and we don't usually see. Now, obviously, it's a fire deck, so we've got some fire tricks. We've got a couple copies of Giant Furnace, discard a card from your hand, search your deck for 2 fire energy and put them in your hand. We've got a Heat Factory Prism Star to give yourself a little bit of extra draw power. And we've got a couple of Fire Crystal which let you pick up free fire energy from your discard. So Giant Furnace gets the energy from your deck. Fire Crystal gets it from your discard, and then regardless of where you got it, Welder goes and attaches it. But like so many decks over in Japan at the moment, we're playing 4 copies of Green Search and 4 copies of Pokegear 3.0, which helps you to find your Green Search. Green Search says that if you have no Pokemon in play with abilities, you can search for any 2 trainer cards and put them into your hand. Well, you aren't playing any Pokemon with abilities here. You're playing 4 Reshiram and Charizard, 2 Eevee and Snorlax, and 3 Kangaskhan. So this is always on the table, and for that reason, it's pretty gosh darn good. But we're actually seeing a copy of Coach Trainer here. Draw 2 cards. If your active Pokemon is a tag team, draw 2 more cards. It's one of those draw 4 cards, which we see quite a bit of, and they've always got a downside, but here, you're going to have a bunch of Tag Team GXs in the active, so why not? We are only playing a couple of them, though. In terms of other supporters, we're playing a couple of Guzma to both switch and bring your opponent's Pokemon active. We're playing an Ace Roller to heal up and save your Pokemon, and we're playing a Red's Challenge, which allows you to discard 2 cards from your hand and search your deck for any card. Quite handy. We're then playing a copy of Professor Kukui to do an extra 20 damage while drawing a couple of cards, which is quite nice. And a Lieutenant Surge's Strategy, which lets you play itself, and then 2 more supporters during your turn. What's really cool here, of course, is that you can search it out using Green Search, ready to go next turn. Now, we've largely looked at the rest of the deck, but we do have 4 copies of Nest Ball. You're only playing basics, why would you need Ultra Ball? Nest Ball will be fine. We got a copy of Switch. It's easily searched out by something like Green Search, and it gets you out the active. A couple copies of Choice Band to do a little bit of extra damage, which can often be fairly important. A copy of a Rescue Stretcher to get your Pokemon back, and a copy of Field Blower to get rid of your opponent's tools and stadiums. And then, of course, 1 copy of Reset Stamp. And I've told you this in a whole bunch of videos, and I expect to be telling you in a whole bunch more. It's a one-sided N. Your opponent shuffles their hand into their deck and draws a number of cards equal to their remaining prizes. Good players are going to play this in most decks, and it's going to be really good. And they are going to have an absolute field day. Seriously, expect to see a lot of this card. It's phenomenal. And finally, we have a copy of Tag Switch here. Lets you switch a couple of energy from a Tag Team GX to another Pokemon. What I adore about this is how well it functions with Kangaskhan. Because if you've got energy on either of your Tag Team GXs, then Tag Switch and DCE, or Tag Switch and Welder, or really 2 of the 3, it doesn't really matter which 2, and all of a sudden Kangaskhan's going. You want to drop Kangaskhan as a surprise, and this is another one of those cards that's going to really help you to do so. This is a great deck. I love Kangaskhan, I love the potential, I love that it can trade prizes. It's a bit awkward with the energy, with having constant 4 energy Pokemon, but you know what? You got enough tricks there that it's not really going to matter all that much. And for those of you on rotation watch, you lose Kiawe, but it's not as important as Welder, and you lose double colourless energy. They are the big losses. Whether this deck can survive without double colourless energy does remain to be seen. Outside of that, this deck seems pretty good post-rotation. But ladies and gentlemen, I would like to know what you think about it, so please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! But please do remember the rule. Be nice, would you? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays, where we talk about games that don't have Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.